Moment for God.
No matter what yesterday looked like, today is a new day filled with God's grace. Every day is a new opportunity to hear and learn from God. Let's take this moment to receive His word for today.
Today, we're going to dig into something really interesting, how we actually understand things and, what truly matters in life. So in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 12, let me read it for you. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. Now, whatever your background, this verse gives us a really interesting way to think about different kinds of knowing, different kinds of value. So our mission here is to unpack that sharp contrast it makes and figure out what it suggests about, recognizing what's valuable and how we gain real knowledge. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, it's incredibly direct, isn't it? Just gets right to the heart of where genuine insight comes from. In this deep dive, we're going to shed light on not just what this understanding is, but crucially, how it can fundamentally change your perspective on, the big things in life. You might have a few aha moments, I think, about how insight really develops.
Okay, so let's dive straight into that first big contrast. Not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God. That's a clear line drawn right there. We all kind of operate with some internal compass, right? But when this text mentions the spirit of the world, what kind of compass is that? Why set it apart so sharply from the Spirit of God?
Well, think of the spirit of the world as a specific way of thinking. A mindset.
Yeah.
It's driven mostly by what you can see and touch, what's immediate. Often it's about self-interest, maybe pride, human logic on its own. It's like looking at life through, let's say, a purely practical lens, focused only on what you can grasp, achieve, control, right now.
Right, the tangible stuff.
Exactly. But the Spirit of God, as it's described here, that's presented as a completely different source of knowing. It's positioned as the source of divine insight, opening your heart, your understanding to truths you wouldn't get otherwise. What's fascinating here is how clearly it draws a line in the sand regarding where true wisdom originates.
The line in the sand, yeah.
It really emphasizes that genuine understanding of the deeper stuff, like real purpose or our non-material inheritance. It doesn't just come from having a high IQ or being clever. No, it requires a kind of fundamental shift, a recalibration of our inner operating system, if you will, through a connection with the divine. Without that connection, the text implies that the really deep meanings of things like grace, this idea of unearned divine favor, or our spiritual inheritance, like a profound non-physical legacy, they just stay hidden, out of view.
That is a powerful distinction.
Yeah.
It's like accessing a totally different frequency of wisdom. So if the Spirit acts as this divine translator, what specifically is it translating? The verse says that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. That phrase, freely given, it really jumps out. It suggests gifts, right? Unearned blessings. This is where it gets really interesting, especially if you feel like you have to earn everything in life.
Absolutely. Spot on. Freely given points directly to those unearned blessings. Gifts we receive, according to the text, just through divine love. No effort, no merit badges needed on our part.
So not striving for them.
Exactly. They're bestowed freely. The source material mentions things like salvation being made whole, complete, or peace that goes beyond just, circumstances. Also wisdom that's imparted, not just learned through books, and even direct access to God's presence, a real sense of closeness. And recognizing these specific gifts, that's critical. It changes how we see ourselves, strengthens our faith. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about a massive reorientation of what we see as valuable.
A reorientation. How so?
Well, the verse reveals that true spiritual wealth isn't something you achieve, it's something you receive. That completely flips our usual way of thinking about value, doesn't it?
It really does.
It moves us away from maybe just chasing worldly success status stuff towards recognizing a richer spiritual kind of inheritance. The Holy Spirit, in this view, is what unveils just how vast God's generosity is, what He actually wants us to know and experience.
So it's not just getting the gift, but the Spirit helping us see its true worth. Okay, that brings us to what it means to actually receive the Spirit. It sounds like more than just an idea. It points towards a dynamic personal relationship with God. But how does that relationship, which might sound a bit abstract, actually show up? How does it work in daily life in terms of understanding or guidance? What does it look like, on the ground?
That's the key question. And yes, this verse strongly suggests the believer's relationship with God isn't just personal, it's intimate and revelatory, full of revelation. The Spirit isn't portrayed as some distant force. No, it's actively communicating the very heart of God, the core truths.
Like an inside line.
Sort of, yeah. Like having an internal guide or a clear signal helping you navigate through life's messiness. So this means that as someone leans into this, they can actually genuinely expect to get divine insight, specific understanding that comes from God, clarity, direction, even in everyday situations.
That's quite a promise.
It is. The verse basically affirms, look, you're not left alone to figure everything out. God has given his Spirit precisely to guide us into all truth, which raises that important question you touched on. What does it mean to be truly guided? It means faith becomes alive, dynamic. It's driven by ongoing revelation-specific insights, not just head knowledge, rather than simply following rituals. And it's empowered by grace, this unearned favor, not just by human smarts or effort. It's less about rigid rules, more about an active discovery of truth that takes us beyond our own limits.
Wow. Okay. We've unpacked that really key distinction between worldly thinking, the spirit of the world, and the deep insight from the Spirit of God. We explore the amazing idea of God's freely given blessings, gifts received, not achieved. And we talked about the close guiding relationship the Spirit offers, promising to lead us into deeper truth. So wrapping this up, what does all this mean for you listening right now?
Well, I think it means that true understanding, real purpose, lasting value, as this verse presents it, aren't ultimately found just by looking inside ourselves at our own limitations or only looking outward at what the world offers. They're revealed. They come through a divine source. And that fundamentally shifts our view from the temporary to the eternal. Maybe just consider this. How might acknowledging the source of your understanding change how you face challenges, how you see blessings, how you seek guidance? What if the most valuable things you could ever have aren't things you need to strive for, but are actually already available, freely, just waiting to be known and received? Something to think about.
Take a deep breath. Move forward in faith and trust that he is guiding you. Be sure to subscribe and tune in tomorrow for another Moment for God.